here we are, June 14th, 1800, Napoleon in northern Italy. He has trapped the Austrian army under Melas in the town of Alessandria. He can't stay here forever. He wants to get back to Paris to solidify events there. Inside Alessandria, the Austrian troops are starving under siege. On June 14th, they break out in the morning. Let's see what happens. Now, Command Post Games is looking at using these movement sticks. Here's this Austrian column that's going to be coming out of here, breaking out, and it's going to be moving 2/3 of a move. And that's 2/3. Now, at the head of this column is cavalry, and I'm going to have them move a little bit more because they can move just a hair further. And Melas opens up the battle by shelling Marengo and driving the French out. Now we'll do a couple more breakout moves from the Austrians. Ott comes out on the right, and O'Reilly sneaks a couple detachments up the minor roads in the Austrian left. Now these are just detachments, they're not actually the full strength blocks of the Austrian light. But the French player wouldn't know that. This is a ruse. When I'm playing double blind solo like this, I can play out these ruses and then just logically react. Alright, that was the breakout move. Now we begin with turn 1, and we'll draw chits normally. Now when I'm playing double blind solo, I just drum all the chits out at once, line them up in the order they came out of the cup in, and then I don't roll to alter turn order because I know what both sides are doing. In certain situations it will come up very obviously that this command wants to move first, this command needs to move last, and then I will roll. But that is not now. Let us begin. The Austrian artillery continues to hammer the French line. The French continue to fall back, and Victor attacks the Austrian right, and they reinforce Marengo. The Austrian cavalry fans out and screens the rest of Melas' advanced troops. Lannes falls back towards Castle Ceriolo. Bonaparte's troops edge forward. The French attacks on the Austrian right flank. The early Austrian advance is driven back by Victor's swift response. Turn 2, mid-morning. Hearing this opening combat, Murat drives forward on the French left, and Napoleon advances into the center. The Austrian artillery fires on the French left, but with little effect. Ott's troops fall back. O'Reilly's advance on the left comes out of column and forms up into line, and his main formation joins the Austrian advance. The screening cavalry moves aside, and the Austrian artillery opens up. The last artillery opens up on Marengo, and then the rest of Melas' infantry surges forward. Lannes deploys bags and prepares to hold Castle Ceriolo, and Victor reinforces Marengo once again. And now it's late morning. Turn 3, and Ott's artillery opens up again, driving back the French troops. And O'Reilly races back to join his troops and urge them forward. And Melas orders the attack, and the cavalry prepares to press with any success. And the shelling of Marengo continues. Murat responds to the attack on the French line, as the recalled Revaux's cavalry arrives at the battle. And Bonaparte brings the artillery up onto the high ground, and Melas' main assault on Lannes. The battle for Castle Ceriolo is bloody. The French bags lay exposed. Now who moves first next turn will be very critical. So I'm going to draw chits one at a time and roll to alter turn order as per the regular rules. First drawn is Murat. Melas tries to go first. He needs a 1, 2, or 3. He rolled a 4. Kellerman's cuirassiers charge into the Austrian flank. As per the charge rule, combat is resolved immediately in the movement phase. The Austrians lose a block of infantry, and then his dragoons race forward to plug the hole in the French line. Revaux's hussars come out of column and race towards the line. Next, O'Reilly's light troops are drawn, and they advance to cut off any French support from the south. Napoleon races to place the artillery and the French guard in front of the bags. Lannes rallies his troops, and they hold. Ott's artillery continues to shell Marengo. Some of the French troops are driven out, but Victor reoccupies it. He screens it as well from the artillery and reinforces his flank. Instead of moving first, which would allow him to get to the bags before they were defended, he moves last, which has the advantage of allowing him to set up the attacks he wants, but he'd rather not have had to attack at all. And the Austrian bags are brought forward. The Austrian assault continues. The French dragoons are driven back, and they push back the artillery and the guard. And now it's turn 5. Desai arrives. He will help protect the bags. Another tense turn begins. First drawn is Lannes. Of course, Melas is again going to try and jump ahead. He needed to roll 1 through 3. This time he rolls a 6. And Lannes is able to defend the bags. Melas is drawn next. Can Napoleon jump ahead? Haha! He rolls a 1. He is already there. And now the Consular Guard is defending the bags. This just got very tough. And now Melas' forces charge forward. Murat's cavalry is in complete confusion, and Victor races towards a critical center. The Austrians continue shelling Marengo, and Ott begins pursuing the French. O'Reilly's troops occupy Monte Castello while his main light troops meet the French charge. This combat first. The French fall back from the Austrian drive. And now the battle around the bags. The French guard is there, but they are spent. And you cannot be flanked when defending the bags. In bloody fighting, the guard is lost. The Grenadiers are attacking the bags, but they are flanked. Now the Grenadiers are spent, but they'll continue the combat because if they hold, they've captured the bags and they win the game. The fighting is inconclusive. The bags are not captured. We'll now go to late afternoon. Victor continues his drive towards the French center. He protects his flank and attacks the Austrian light troops, desperately hoping to break up the overall Austrian army's defense. Melas is drawn next. Napoleon attempts to jump ahead, which he does. But now Melas attempts to jump ahead again. And again, he fails. The only troops Napoleon has left are his artillery. Murat attempts to jump ahead of Melas, which he does. Now Kellerman could use the charge rule and resolve this now, but he's going to wait. His object is to delay. He'll be attacking soon enough. Ott is drawn, and his artillery opens up on Victor's men, driving the whole command away. And his forces advance. Lannes rallies his troops, and Desai races to drive in the Austrian right. And O'Reilly drives on the retreating Frenchmen. Turn 6 combat. The French lose a block and are driven back. Cavalry combat in the center. Kellerman wipes out the Austrian dragoons. While over here in the French right, the Hussars merely fall back from the advancing Grenadiers. And now it's turn 7. The Austrian drive almost had it, but it seemed to be losing its steam. At this stage in the battle, I've realized 2 things. First of all, Napoleon has saved his bags. So now it becomes a question of, can one army or the other break their opponent? The Austrians would need to eliminate 4 more French blocks. And the French would need to eliminate 5 Austrian blocks. The only way either of them was going to accomplish this, it was with some intense and decisive combat. Let's see what they can muster. First is Victor. Victor unpacks his bags, and this will rally his entire corps. O'Reilly will continue his charge on the French. Murat brings his cavalry around to the French right. Napoleon's artillery fires on the Austrian block it sees right here, driving it from the ridge. Melas unpacks bags west of Castel Ceriolo, and his exhausted grenadiers rally. He recalls his cavalry west of Castel Ceriolo, and he organizes his artillery. Desai attacks. Lannes joins the defense of the bags, and Ott executes a skillful fighting withdrawal from Desai's drive. O'Reilly's drive on Victor's recovered corps. Gardain's division is destroyed by Victor's corps, but the attack is stopped. Now we move on to turn 8, last turn of the day. We open with an attack by Victor. And Kellerman's cuirassiers charge the Austrian cavalry. And Ott attacks. O'Reilly turns his attention to the French bags. And Melas' cavalry attacks. And he moves an element forward to fill the hole in his line. And Desai continues his drive. Last turn of the day, Lannes mans the ramparts. He's on the lines, holding the defense. And Napoleon's artillery fires on the flanking Austrian cav, disrupting it, but they're too focused to be driven off. Last combats of the day, Desai's drive. The Austrians lose another block. The cavalry battle on Kellerman. Kellerman's cavalry defeats them all, but there's nothing left of what he has with his little band of horsemen. The hussars approach the grenadiers and turn around and ride away. And Lannes, up here defending the bags. The Austrians do 3 hits, the French do 2. The defense is successful, the Austrians are driven off, but Lannes has fallen. So here you have it. The battle is over. The French have prevented an Austrian breakout. But can Napoleon claim the victory he wished to claim? The French destroyed 22 points. The Austrians destroyed 20 points. Hard to call that a victory. And Lannes was killed. Like Marengo was historically, the degree of the French victory could be called into question. Now it's up to Napoleon to race back to Paris and claim a major victory that saved the Republic. What do you think? And Napoleon, he did my advice when I told him, guard your bags.